Many of you have probably seen this picture. All of you, I'm sure, have seen at least some of these faces around campus over your last several years here at IWU. This is the now senior class of Illinois Wesleyan University. Over 450 individuals strong, we are athletes, musicians, scientists, dancers, thinkers, believers. The list goes on and on. We are strong and we are capable. But the reality is that we, as an Illinois Wesleyan community, are not unlike the thousands of other colleges across the nation and across the world. We have our problems too. It might surprise you that 17% of college students report having engaged in self-harm. Self-harm is a huge problem amongst adolescents and young adults, and for that reason, I chose to present on a study that looked at deliberate self-harm in adolescents in England using a self-report survey. Self-harm can be defined as an act with a non-fatal outcome in which an individual deliberately initiates behavior by which they intend to cause self-harm. Examples include, but are not limited to, cutting, burning, or scratching of the skin, punching oneself, jumping from a height, and ingesting harmful substances. The objective of the study was to determine the prevalence of deliberate self-harm in adolescents and the factors associated with it. As I mentioned, the design of the study was a cross-sectional survey through the use of an anonymous self-report questionnaire. For the methods, first, 41 schools were chosen to be included in the study based on several factors in order to ensure a representative range of school types. The researchers determined that 5,000 pupils was the target sample size based on the postulated prevalence of deliberate self-harm in order for an effect to be detected with appropriate power and significance. The study actually ended up including 6,020 pupils. Informed consent was obtained from the parents of the pupils, and the students were then given a self-report questionnaire that included items on personal information, including sex, age, and ethnicity, and questions about lifestyle, and problems on deliberate self-harm and suicidal ideation. Participants who reported deliberate self-harm were asked to provide a description of the act and its consequences. Classification of the episodes as deliberate self-harm or otherwise was based on independent ratings by 3 of the researchers using an agreed definition and specific detailed criteria. The results of the study indicated that 8.6% of the English adolescents had engaged in self-harm in the previous year, and 13.2% had done so at some point in their lives. The study also identified several factors associated with deliberate self-harm. Females had a risk of self-harm behavior that was 4 times as high as their male counterparts. Additionally, pupils living with one parent, who engaged in risky drinking behaviors, who used or abused drugs of any sort, and who were subjected to physical or sexual abuse, also reported self-harm at higher rates. Furthermore, knowledge of self-harm by a friend or family member, identifying as LGBTQ, and having a mental illness were also found to be associated with higher rates of deliberate self-harm behavior. The results of this study are very important because they show that the prevalence of deliberate self-harm is alarmingly high. Furthermore, although self-harm should not be equated with suicidality, the study found that 15% of students reported suicidal ideations in the past year, which indicates that such feelings could precipitate the self-harm behavior. Several studies have been conducted amongst other populations after the publication of this study, including one amongst American college students, which found an even higher prevalence rate of 17%, like I mentioned before. Most importantly, this study demonstrates the need for development and evaluation of school-based programs for the promotion of mental health, as well as appropriate resource allocation and support for those struggling with self-harm. We at Illinois Wesleyan, or any college for that matter, are not immune to this problem. It could be your friend, roommate, teammate, or lab partner. All too often, people suffer in silence. If anyone watching this has self-harmed or knows someone who has, remember that you are not alone. You are loved beyond measure and are stronger than any obstacle in your path. Sometimes, true strength means asking for help.